Hello, everyone, and welcome to Breakthroughs with Bree. On this podcast, we are discussing all of the topics that help us have breakthroughs on our personal and spiritual development journeys. My name is Bree, otherwise known as Healing with Bree, and I'm a channeler, energy healer, tarot reader, astrologer, and soul alignment coach. My mission in my work and in this podcast is to help teach people how to shift their consciousness, how to heal, and how to release beliefs and patterns and fears of their ego mind so that they can step into alignment with their soul to live lives of abundance, purpose, and bliss. In these episodes, I will be sharing either through my own lens and my own channel or through the experiences of my guest, wisdom and expertise about healing, spirituality, psychology, personal growth, holistic wellness, mysticism, consciousness, and so much more. My hope is that these conversations help you feel seen and provide support and inspiration for you with your own personal breakthroughs. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Breakthroughs with Bree. We're doing my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite. One of my favorite things that I do, which is a monthly energy forecast. I think it's really fun to get insight and guidance about what to expect in the energy of the month, how we can really ride that wave, and what it's offering us, what the growth opportunities are, what the themes that are going to arise from the month are. Obviously, our own paths are going to be unique as we're navigating the month, just based, of course, on our own unique path and perspective on the world. But I do find that there are shared themes, of course, across the collective. And when you're listening to messages like this, always just listen for what resonates and what feels true. What kind of like sparks that, whoa, like that focus, that impact. And that means that that's something that's going to be resonant for you. The way that I bring through the energy forecast in these messages is through tarot and channeled messages from my guides. Then I spend a little bit of time talking about the numerology for the month and according to the numerology, what the energy of the month is. And then I wrap up the episode doing a very brief astrology overview for the month, any big lunar cycles, the change in sun season, very, very brief to round out the month and give us all of the insight and information that's going to empower us to come out this month of April feeling like we got this, feeling like we can take it on, feeling like we are unstoppable, feeling like we're magical. All right, let's get into the tarot spread for the month of April, 2024. All right, if this is your first time doing a monthly energy forecast with me, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. This is how I do it. I do a spread of tarot cards, which is asking the cards and really the guides a certain question. And here are the questions that we have for them. We have the first card, which is what is the main energy of the month? Then we ask the cards of what is an area of growth or an area of breakthrough that's going to be available to us this month. And within that area of growth and where we can have a breakthrough, we're asking the cards, what do we need to release? What do we need to embody more of? And what is the potential outcome of that breakthrough place? And then to wrap up the whole spread, we're going to have a final message for the energy to take into the month. And of course, this is for the month of April. So, and I'll just say from the spread, having already pulled it and looked at it, we're working a lot with our minds, a lot with our thoughts, a lot with our beliefs, and mastering and doing some healing in that area. And here's what we have. So the energy for the month is the Eight of Swords. An area that we have breakthrough is the Page of Swords. What we need to release in this area of growth, this breakthrough, is the Knight of Swords. What we can embody more of in this area or of having a breakthrough is the Major Arcana 9, the Hermit. And the potential for us on the other side of this breakthrough is the King of Cups. And then the final message that we're left with for the month of April is Major Arcana 7, the Hanged Man. Now let's get into what all of this means. Okay, to start off with the Eight of Swords. If you want to watch on video, I do show what the cards look like in the video. Spotify, you have the option to watch on video or on YouTube, so you can check me out there. Okay, so for the month of April, one of the big energies that is emerging is the Eight of Swords. And I just want to remind everybody too, I do have the option to do tarot readings for you individually. So if you're trying to figure out how the energy of a month or maybe of a certain fork in the road you're trying to navigate, or options you're considering, or personal healing that you're really trying to navigate, or really just like guidance and connecting with yourself and your life path in general, I offer tarot readings on my website, healingwithbree.net. There are so many options of spreads that we can do, like things that we can ask the cards to get you really meaningful insights and guidance to help provide you more clarity and help you feel more empowered as you're moving through your life, for you to get that invaluable guidance from your angels, loved ones, guides from spirit through the cards. So I really invite you to check that out on my website, healingwithbree.net. To book one of those sessions with me if you're interested in it. Coming back to this month, the Eight of Swords. I mentioned that because the Eight of Swords has to do with when we feel trapped or restricted in some way. Even in the image, they have something over their eyes like a blindfold, and they're tied up, and their swords are situated around them to where it almost looks like a cage, feeling caged in, feeling stuck. This can also be a little bit of like victim energy of like, why is this happening? Like, why do bad things always happen to me? Oh, I can't do anything about it. I'm trapped, I'm stuck. But the funny thing about this card is that it is a swords card. It's a suit of the mind. And the overall message of this card is that it is a self-created prison. It's a self-created, a self-generated restriction. And that you are the one that has the power to let yourself out of this metaphorical cage, to let yourself out of these restraints, that they're self-generated to begin with. So the only one that can actually free yourself of it is yourself, which is a very big concept in general. I definitely feel like that's one that we are all facing at some point in our lives in different ways. But this is something that the guides really want to call your attention to this month, is where are you creating your own sense of limitation and your own sense of struggle, your own sense of anguish through your beliefs, through your perspective, through your mindset of looking at things like you have no control or influence over them. You have no ability to change the circumstances. You have no ability how to create the kind of experience that you want, which is really how you relate to your circumstances, and then the actions that you take based on how you related to them, right? This month is going to be calling your attention to that. And that is further reinforced by our area of breakthrough. So where we can have breakthroughs this month is in the Page of Swords, which is another swords card. It's of the mind. The page is the first of the suit cards. So associations with the Page of Swords have to do with us being really open-minded, us being really inquisitive, us having clarity and being ambitious about the things that we want. You could think about like a young child who's always asking a lot of questions and really excited to connect and learn things. Like that is very much the energy of the Page of Swords. It's interesting where this is sitting in the spread, because what we need to release in order to come into a really empowered version of the Page of Swords, or have a breakthrough in this area, is the Knight of Swords, which is the next one in the suit. And here's how I would interpret this. I feel like our hastiness, us getting a little overexcited or wanting things to happen really quickly, can actually be a sign of our own insecurity or self-doubt that we can make it happen if the creation process happens over a long period of time. Or sometimes we can get a little too fixed on an idea and we can become a little bit rigid in our thinking. We might become argumentative. We might become a little bit egotistical. We might even become a little bit combative because we have so much energy, so much passion. We're really zealous about what that looks like and feels like in our mental body, that it can pull us out of balance of the process of creating the things that we visualize. When this Knight of Swords energy is in an extreme, we can also be so set on our ideas about something that we aren't, in fact, open-minded anymore. We're not really being flexible and malleable and adaptable, and we're being maybe a little bit defensive or combative in our pursuit of our ideas and our ambitions. Those are all things that can be associated with the Knight of Swords when it's in a spot of something that's not helping us or something we need to release. And then what we need to embody more of, the Hermit, which is beautiful. The swords can energy, if you even think of like air signs in astrology, like they can move really fast. They're eagerness to connect and understand, and the way that the wind like can move really quickly and dynamically, right? Like people with a lot of air sign energy have that very dynamic, quick paced sort of energy. And I definitely feel that reflected again in these first two cards with the Knight of Swords and the Page of Swords. There's this curiosity, this openness, and then maybe on that initial inspiration, like a lot of hastiness or rushing things can happen, right? Or maybe immediately trying to go outward and make it happen with other people via connection and networking, or trying to convince other people of your ideas. But this Hermit card is bringing through a message loud and clear that if we want to really feel that clarity of mind, if we want to feel really open-minded and that we can easily bring in information and understand what it means for us and apply our logic and thinking towards supporting what we want to create, we have to come and get connected with ourselves. We have to spend time truly processing things within our own energy and integrating things that we've learned. It can be so easy to learn something and then jump into the next thing that you want to learn, and then jump into the next thing that you want to learn, but you're not really finishing the cycle of that lesson and what it's here to teach you and to change within you, how it's truly there to help you. If we're always just jumping to the next thing, and the cycle of life, and I just recorded a podcast that was talking a little bit about this that'll come out, it should come out next week. And the cycle of life, yes, there is that active and excited and vibrant phase, but there's also the phase where it gets quiet and a little bit more isolated, where we're really integrating and grounding in lessons, letting old things die off, much more contemplative. And that is the energy of the Hermit. So I feel like this month you might find yourself really craving alone time. You might find yourself really craving time where you can reflect and process things like within yourself and your own energy. That doesn't mean your whole life has to be put on hold, but that does mean that you might be creating intentional time to journal or to meditate or to go on a walk and just mull things over, or to just be and let things settle, maybe even rest and let knowings that have activated in your energy field really start to settle and move and integrate things in the cells of your body, right? There's going to be, even though there might be an urge to move and go fast and make things happen, like this Knight of Swords, what we need to embody that's going to help us the most is actually being really tuned in to when we create times for self-connection and self-reflection, because that's how we really integrate and apply all of these great ideas that come through through the Page of Swords. Now, the end result, the outcome, the potential that's on the other side of this lesson is the King of Cups, which is the signal of emotional maturity. The King of Cups is really good at sensing not only within himself what he needs emotionally and the ebbs and flows of his feelings, and how to be really balanced and mature in responding to those and caring for them, but also how to connect with and care for other people with that sense of emotional maturity, how to be sensitive to the heart and the feelings of others, and coming from a place of love and being really heart-centered in his actions, being really heart-centered in his leadership within his own life, as well as his connection with others. So how does that energy connect to things that you're manifesting or things that you want? Is that something that you're feeling that you need a little bit more of? Is that something this month that you're going to be called to step into, this role of the King of Cups? Is this something you've been asking your guides how to learn? Because that's the potential when you're working through this process of, mental excitement and inspiration and clarity and how logic plays into it. And instead of jumping straight into it and trying to make it happen real quick, learning how and when to bring in me time, when and how to bring in alone time and reflection time that's really intentional for you to be able to fully understand personal and spiritual lessons that are coming through in your life. And I feel like that what that's going to do is that's going to give you the wisdom of how to really be in your life in this King of Cups energy, how to be mature in your spiritual well-being, how to be mature in your emotional well-being, how to be really mature and a master of your creativity, because all of those things are associated with the cups. So that is a big area of breakthrough, which again is really interesting, bringing it back to the energy of the month, which is this Eight of Swords. The guides are saying for you to learn the role that you play in your own suffering. The role that you play in your own suffering and the power that you have to create your own sense of restriction is also equivalent to the power that you have to create your joy and to create your sense of peace, to create a sense of freedom in your life. Both are generated from your mind and then go into your feelings. Again, coming back to this King of Cups, right? Your thoughts influence your feelings, so, so greatly. It's really important to understand the connection with that. Now, to wrap up the tarot spread for this, the final message to take into this month is the Major Arcana 7, the Hanged Man. And again, this has everything to do with how you're looking at things. This has everything to do with your perspective on things. When the Hanged Man comes up, it's almost like everything has thrown in reverse. Maybe if you've been feeling progress, it feels halted. Things are shaken up in a way that forces you to look at the situation in a new way. And thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that. Because if you've been locked in a mental pattern that's making you experience this Eight of Swords energy, this trapped and restricted and victimized by bad things, if you've been stuck in that and you've been having a hard time seeing your way out, this Hanged Man of when circumstances come up that kind of force you to look at things different or approach things different. This is so that you can find a new way through your circumstances. There is a little bit of surrender that's required when you do find yourself in Hanged Man scenarios. There is a certain element of maybe some elements feeling a little bit out of your control, or, if you had planned it, it would have gone one way, but really you find that things are going another way. But the fact that they're not going the way that you want is proof that in order to get what you desire, you have to come at it a different way, or you need to learn something new that you wouldn't have learned if it had happened the way that you were planning. So again, this Hanged Man of like flipping things on its head, literally making you look at it from a whole other perspective, like a 180, is what's going to help you see the way forward. It's going to help show you how to free yourself from this mental prison and this anguish that you're generating in your own mind. And it's probably going to help you also navigate this area of breakthrough, which again has to do with you mastering your own mind and how to come back in and self-connect, divine your own wisdom, to integrate wisdom that you've learned in life so that you can reach that place of real emotional and spiritual maturity so that you can live from a really heart-centered place. They're saying that this month is going to be very fertile, that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for creative progress, for creative potential, that in March, a lot was shaken up. There was a lot of inspiration that came through, and you're going to start seeing some of that potential come to the surface. Yeah, they're saying you really got to master your mind though. They're saying that this is almost like a training period. You can almost think of it as to become more and more of a master over your own mental processes in your own mind, because how you relate to things, what you expect to happen, how you interpret what happens, not only creates your experience in the moment, but then that experience generates more of it in the future. So as new things are coming up and as a lot of manifestations are starting to be fulfilled this month, how you react to that happening is going to have a really big influence on what continues to happen for you in the future. And this doesn't have to be something that's foreboding. It doesn't have to be something that's scary or that there's a lot of pressure on it. You have all of the ability to play and experiment and all that kind of stuff, but they're really recommending that you become very observant of the knee-jerk reaction that your mind has to the circumstances around you. There's going to be a lot of really helpful energy to help you look at things different and to be able to observe the way that you think about things in a way that you've never had before this month in particular. Your guides really want to help you with that. There's a lot of energy on the planet that's going to help you see and work through that if you take the opportunity to do that. And you'll really come out on the other side being able to, go with the flow of your feelings and to create even more powerfully when you've seen how your mind might be thwarting your creative progress and might be stealing your peace a little bit and might be generating some of the suffering that you're trying to get around. Yeah, to like see that, to become aware of that is going to alleviate a lot of the problems. Is there anything else that you want to share, guys? They're saying we get really grounded in the earth. It's also a really good time to be out in nature as spring is coming, spring is starting, spring is blooming. Like really go outside, put your feet on the earth, appreciate the beauty of the earth and the things around you. There's a lot of like earth codes and sun codes that will help activate your field in this way. It's really good for getting out of your head and getting in that observer mode. Yeah, really be with Mother Earth as she's opening and blooming in a new season. Get out, get in the sunshine, get in nature, even if it's like sitting on the grass in a park or, going for a walk or something, even if it's something really simple, that's going to offer a lot of support. All right, cool. I'm going to take a quick break and then I'm going to come back and talk about the numerology for this month and the astrology. All right, everybody, let's talk about the numerology of the month. As I remind everybody, we are in a collective year 8, and that is going to be the overarching theme of the whole year. And then the month is like the little energy cycles that are underneath that umbrella. Okay, so we're in a year 8, which has everything to do with personal power, abundance, prosperity, achievement. So that's the overarching theme we're all going to be experiencing and deepening into in some way. But for the month of April, here's what the numerology says. Now, just as a reminder how we calculate this, April is month 4. And what you do to calculate the month energies in any given year is you add the number of the month to the collective year number. So we're adding 4 to 8. That's 12. And whenever you get 2 digits, you reduce it down to 1 in numerology. So 1 plus 2 of 12 is 3. So we're in a numerology month 3 for the collective under the collective year 8. Now, the energy of the 3 is this, and this is what we can expect according to numerology. This month, in April, there will be a lot of energy around communication and connection, community building, socializing, and celebrating. This month in a 3, things start to feel a little bit more fast paced and we start to feel more of that creative energy. This month is really calling you into the places where you feel alive and inspired and feeling joyful. And you're going to feel the urge to communicate and to interact with people as a part of that feeling of alignment and inspiration. That might mean that you might have some tough conversations if you're in places or relationships that are not feeling aligned, not bringing that sense of joy and inspiration, or you might find that relationships are a place of a lot of joy this month. Like they might just feel really fun, really pleasurable. Again, might be sources of inspiration. And in general, it just might feel a little bit more lively this month with the energy of the 3. So I'd say be open. If you feel the need to go out with your friends or go try something new or a new event, do that and just feel yourself soak in things that inspire you and that feel good and that align to you. Now let's talk about some of the basics of the astrology for this month. Again, I'm really just talking about the solar season and the lunar cycles. There are a lot of astrologers that do really in-depth like transit stuff. That's not necessarily what I'm doing, but I am going to bring you a little bit of knowledge about the astrology to help you feel really in touch with how the energy of this might be impacting you and how this might even be interacting with your own personal chart. So, on the day that this episode comes out, which is Monday, April 8th, we will be having the second eclipse of a really, really big eclipse season this year. So, the first eclipse happened on the full moon in Libra. So, it was a lunar eclipse on April 25th. And then 2 weeks later, on today, on April 8th, we'll be in a solar eclipse in Aries. Now, this is a really big energy that's prominent of the astrology this year. And I kind of like to think of these things as like an eclipse portal. So, right before the start of the lunar eclipse on the 25th, all the way up until this date, until the moon moves out of Aries, which is going to be around the 10th. It's a really big eclipse portal. What makes eclipses significant than the regular lunar cycle is that the nodes of the moon are involved. And in astrology, we interpret the nodes of the moon having to do with destiny and karma. So when they are a part of the story of the cycle of life, of the creation process that's represented by the moon cycles, there's something that's being created or released that has to do with our destiny and our karma. And it's sort of like if we're ready for it or not. It can be a time of great change and upheaval and really unexpected things happening. Those can be quite characteristic of eclipses. And this does not have to be a bad thing. This can be really good opportunities. And really, the moral of the story during eclipses is just sit back and enjoy the ride, observe what's happening, receive what's happening with as much grace as you can, and hold on to the mantra that everything is always happening for my highest and best good. And believe that even if what you're experiencing feels like it's pushing you towards letting go of something you've been holding on really tight to, or if it's pushing you towards a new opportunity that feels a little scary but also feels really exciting. Just receive it, don't resist it. And after this eclipse has happened, then you can start to connect the dots and start to put 2 and 2 together about why it might have happened the way that it did. But in the middle of it, in the midst of it, listen to your body and enjoy the ride. The last thing I'll say about these eclipses is that they were happening in the axis of Aries and Libra. They started last year, so in last Aries season in 2023, which would have been in March. And then we got the next iteration of the eclipses in Libra season, which would have been October of last year. in 2023. This is the third iteration of those eclipses. And then I believe that the last eclipse for this cycle is Aries of next year. It might be Libra at the end of this year. I'd have to double check. But the interesting thing about knowing that is that usually there's a theme that arises for those eclipses. So it might be interesting for you to think back what was happening during Aries season last year. What really big things were happening in October and Libra season of last year? And are there any connection with things that have been coming to light, that have been coming to the surface during this Aries season to figure out what it really means for you? Now, I will say that Aries and Libra axis has to do with self-assertion versus connection with others. It's me versus we, right? It's who I am and what I want versus being in connection and community with other people and what they want and compromise, right? It's the balance between those two things. That is going to be like a very overarching theme that's going to connect with how we might be experiencing these eclipses, but exactly where in our life we're feeling these eclipses is going to be based on where Aries and Libra is in our personal natal charts. So what I would recommend to you if you want to learn more about this is pull up your birth chart. I really recommend Time Passages and an app that actually shows you the wheel, the chart. And Time Passages has just so much other really fabulous information. You go to your chart and you would look to see where Aries and Libra is, what house that they're in. So basically what little pie wedge of your chart that it's in. Go find one of the million things online that translates the meaning of the different houses, because the houses are your different areas of life. And wherever Aries and Libra is in your chart, whatever house that it's in is going to be the area of life where you're most likely going to be feeling this eclipse energy. And that can be really interesting to reflect on. And then on top of that, if you have any planets in Aries or Libra, especially around the exact degree that these eclipses are happening at, that can also be a signal of where in yourself you're feeling a lot of that energy, where there might be a lot of big changes or breakthroughs, etc. So that is my notes on those eclipse cycles. You'll have to let me know if that helps, if that resonated. If you have any crazy eclipse stories, please DM me. I love hearing them and nerding out about them with you. And then past the eclipse. Okay, so on Saturday, April 20th, we move into Taurus season. So we move out of Aries season, which is the first sign of the zodiac, the start of a new zodiac year, a new zodiac cycle, the astrological new year, I suppose you could say. So we move out of the fire sign, the initiating Aries, into Taurus. A little bit about Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. Its symbol is the bull. It's ruled by Venus. And Taurus is really about coming into our senses and coming into our bodies. And when we do that, we actually have the ability to start materializing and creating a lot of what we want. Going from Aries, where we get that spark of inspiration, into Taurus, where we really come into our feeling body. And that is the place where we really manifest and materialize all of the things that we most desire. So we're going to be feeling a lot of that, again, overarching theme within Taurus season. I always think it's really interesting, again, to look at your chart and to see what house you have Taurus in. And you can kind of think as the sun illuminating that area of your life through this sun season. So what part of your life, AKA what house in your chart, is going to feel most vital or vibrant? Are you going to become most aware of during Taurus season? Then we have a full moon in Scorpio on the 23rd of April. So for the Taurus and Scorpio axis, that axis has themes of stability and security and power. For Taurus, that has to do with security and feeling a sense of trust and safety in an embodied and material way with your possessions, with your money, etc. Whereas Scorpio is a little bit more concerned with feeling safe emotionally via intimacy and trust and sharing truth between two people, right? So those are the two orientations of Taurus and Scorpio on that axis. So again, I wonder how those themes might be coming up as you're moving through the Taurus sun season and through the lunar cycle and the full moon that's happening on the 23rd. Some good questions to ask yourself might be, what makes you feel safe? What makes you feel safe practically, like in your life, again, with your material possessions, and, what are you associating with safety, as well as what makes you feel safe emotionally? What kinds of situations help you feel really connected to your body and your physical sensations, which is a very Taurus thing. Another thing with Taurus being ruled by Venus is, how can we find pleasure and enjoyment in our life through our body and our senses? Where can being in our body be a sense of pleasure in our lives? It's also really, really important in manifesting. I'd go back and listen to that pleasure and manifesting episode with our Taurus queen, Coach Jackie, to hear more about that. And then on the Scorpio end, how can we create more intimacy with people in a way that feels safe? How does the truth and vulnerability play a role in us being able to be connected with people, but also in power dynamics with people? Scorpio has a lot to do with power dynamics. And again, feeling that sense of ultimate truth and seeing what really is and how that can create a feeling of safety when there's that level of transparency. So getting connected to your physical senses with Taurus, with your psychic and emotional senses via Scorpio, a very magical time all around, as all of the seasons are. So that is it for the April energy forecast. I hope that this information was helpful to you. Again, DM me if you have questions. Let me know what parts of these forecasts really resonate with you. If there's a certain part of the format you love, if there's something you'd like me to talk more about, or even suggestions of something to include, I would love to play around with these to make sure that they're really giving you guys what you feel like you need to move through the energy of these months with grace and a sense of empowerment. Coming back to what the tarot card says at the beginning of where we're creating our own suffering with our mind, where our beliefs are blocking us from creating what we want. I want to remind you guys that I do offer breakthrough coaching sessions. One of the best things that these coaching sessions can give you is they can help reveal to you what belief, what thought process, which is really what core experience and sort of traumatic experience is generating the parts of your experience that you are not vibing with, that you're not enjoying, and that are difficult for you. Yes, becoming aware of our own patterns is really important, but sometimes it can feel really hard to see the root of it. Sometimes it does take help from somebody else helping reflect back or asking the right questions, kind of intuitively guiding you to the, oh, that's what this is about. And in those sessions, not only do you get to become aware of where your sticking point might be, but we also do a really powerful practice. We do a really powerful energy healing to actually start to shift that belief, to heal the emotional energy underneath it that was helping that belief stay anchored in, so that you can actually start to feel progress. You can feel transformation, you can feel relief, and you can get next steps for what it would look like, to how to anchor in that change in healing and how to continue to make progress in that area of transformation. So again, to tie it back into the cards that we had for this month, if there's an area that you are feeling really restricted on, or that you feel like you just keep running into a wall with this, it's a pattern that keeps repeating. You've tried and tried and tried to approach it and think it different ways, and it just feels like it's not changing and you're still really frustrated. You would come to a session with me, and just one of these single breakthrough sessions, we would talk about and really get to the root of what that's about. We would go into this energy healing, this belief shifting activity that I would lead you to create the actual change and the actual healing needed to be able to finally walk around the wall and get around it so you don't feel like you're hitting your head up against it, to start to experience things differently. We do get channeled messages from your guides and your higher self throughout this, and you would get action steps to be able to really integrate everything that you've learned from the session. So if that kind of thing sounds like it would be helpful to you, please check out my website, healingwithbrie.net. I would love nothing more than to support you in doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to help you see the power that you have to heal and create your own reality and find a life of bliss and love and connection and abundance. So let me know if you have any questions about that, and I will see you next week for more breakthroughs. Thank you for listening to this episode and for tuning in to Breakthroughs with Brie. Please share your favorite episodes with your friends and loved ones, and please like, subscribe, and rate the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to it, as it helps me continue to create these episodes to help support your breakthroughs. I would love to stay connected with you, so please follow me on social media at Healing with Brie. Please check out my website at healingwithbrie.net, which will always have the most up-to-date information about the services that I'm currently offering. And please consider using the link in the show descriptions to subscribe to my email list, so you can be the first to hear about any offerings. You can get all of the free resources that I offer, as well as get my weekly channeled messages. My deepest love and gratitude to you, and I can't wait to have more breakthroughs with you next week.